Welcome to The Marketer's Exit, the podcast for marketers curious about freelancing, starting a side hustle, or exploring what life could look like beyond the 9-to-5. I'm Tass Bober. I left the in-house marketing world to build a landing page consultancy, and now I work 3 days a week while making the same and sometimes more than I did in my full-time job.
And I'm Tim Davidson. I stepped out of the agency grind to start my own LinkedIn ads consultancy. More flexibility, better work-life balance, and plenty of time to sip cocktails on a beach. Just kidding, I live nowhere near a beach, but it's still way better. We come from different sides of the marketing world. Me from agency, Tass from in-house, but we both got out.
And now we're pulling back the curtain on what it's really like to go solo. The smooth parts, the scary parts, and the stuff that no one puts in the LinkedIn posts and only in the group chat.
If you're thinking about freelancing, building a side hustle, or just curious what life looks like on the other side, this is your front row seat. You got Minnie Mouse and Tim.
This podcast is The Marketer's Exit.
The TME of life.
TME. This is episode 6.
Wow.
And today we are covering
Offers.
Offer it
up.
Not like a buy one, get one free. Although I guess you could do it.
Yeah.
Little more complicated for consulting.
Yeah. It's kind of like packages.
Yeah, packages. Little more B2B.
Exactly B2B. Actually.
Exactly B2B.
More,
very B2B.
Much more B2B.
Much more B2B. So not as simple. And for everybody listening, the agenda today, I told Tim we have to be a little more structured. So that's what we're doing. So you can get the most out of this episode. He's kind of just going with the flow.
I was accepting it. I was going to say that anyway. So.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it up, to be honest.
Okay. He was going to bring it up. He was going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is in each episode, I think it's good to cover a little bit of our backstories as it relates to the topic, because people need to know that we fuck up also. And we continue to fuck up today too. But in the beginning, it was a lot of fudging up.
I'm fudging up right now. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, we fudged up the first 5 episodes of this podcast.
Well, I didn't mean the podcast. I was talking about my offer. But
yeah, just in general. Okay, so you go first. Tell me your first offer story. How did that go? When you were first putting it together,
yeah,
you had the agency model kind of behind you. So were you like, I'm just going to structure it like that?
Yeah, I always went with the agency model. So it's not like I was doing switch complete models here, but I think I was trying to do a lot, especially because I wanted to prove it out, right? I thought I had to give as much time as possible to get the value. So I started off with 3 offers. I think we actually discussed this a little bit in another one of the episodes. Yes. But one of them failed miserably. But 3 offers, one was actually 2 failed miserably now I think about it. One offer was like an advisor role. They have someone in-house that was going to be pulling levers within the campaigns and in the ad platform. And I would just be in the background, giving them consulting and strategy and just like helping guide them. Pretty much. Yeah. No one took that offer, by the way. And that was $4,000 a month. You get basically one call a month. And then the other one, which everyone took this offer, which is obviously was the best one, was the consulting and execution. So I'm managing your LinkedIn ads campaigns, helping with strategy, consulting, all that stuff. But when I first started, my whole thing was for the first 5 weeks, we have a meeting every single week. And then it moved to bi-weekly meetings. So that has changed over time. But the third offer that failed miserably was execution and consulting plus influencer marketing. So I was going to basically create videos or images or whatever that looked like. And I would be trying to sell your product and we'd use me in the ads essentially. And no one took me off on that offer as well. So the first and the third one failed miserably. Those are now gone. And I've changed my offer over time. But the one that's kind of stuck around was that consulting and execution. And that's evolved in the sense of now I have it where 2 variations of it. It's basically just based off ad spend. But what I've also changed is that the meeting structure has changed. So it used to be for the first 5 weeks, every week we'd meet.
Nope. Wait. We're not talking about the evolution. Not yet. We're not talking about the evolution yet. So your first offer, right?
First offer failed. It's gone.
Failed. Now, okay. So the first one was the advising / consulting, and they do the work. The irony of this, the fact that no one picked up on it and no one hired you for it, but the irony of this is most marketers, especially frac CMOs, frac head of marketing,
Hmm.
whatever, they come out and that is exactly what they do. They walk in, they're like, we will give you the marketing strategy. You might have teams to execute, et cetera, et cetera. That is essentially the ideal state, is that they come in and they have, 4 or 5 clients who are hiring them for their brains, not necessarily the doing, but they didn't do that with you. Why do you think that offer failed? When you were pitching this to clients, did they tell you why they didn't take it, or they just kind of ignored it and went for the second one?
The what it was is it seems like my either my positioning or whoever I was just people that knew me. The people I was working with did not have a team. They were smaller
Mm,
marketing teams, or a couple examples would be the CEO. And so they didn't have someone in house that they could have. So I was basically going to be that person. And so
mm,
even though I pitched it to it, it wasn't possible because they didn't have someone in house. Actually, if I think about it, I've only had one client that had someone that I worked closely with that actually had the chops to execute within LinkedIn. And so I think it was just more of the companies I was talking to didn't have the personnel to make that even possible. So it just wasn't
mhm.
it wasn't really an option.
And then on the other side of it, you have the consulting execution, which is great. Everybody wants that. And then you posting about them, the
Mhm.
influencer marketing component, which there are brands who approach you solely for you to do that. Why do
Mhm.
you think they didn't buy into that? Was it just like astronomically more expensive, or they were like, I want to go, I really just have this problem. I don't need the extra fluff. What was it?
It was more expensive, but not more expensive if you came to me separately for LinkedIn ads,
Mm,
separately for influencer marketing. Funny enough, I do have two clients where at different times in life, I have been the influencer for
mm,
them and also ran their ads. I think it was just, to be honest, timing for those two specifically. The other part of it was not all my clients are MarTech or sales tech, but that's
ah,
where it would make sense for me to be posting about them. And so obviously I just could not pitch that. So I actually don't think I'd had enough pitches to do that. And I just kind of just switched. So I just decided it didn't work because of that. But that's how your mind is always running.
yes. Okay, interesting. Do you
Well,
think that you were well priced with the first round? Did you go cheaper because you were like kind of testing the waters with the market, or you're like, I know my worth, I'm going to charge a high amount and I know people are going to come because I have all this brand equity because I'm the Tim Davidson?
I think I was more in the middle of the barrel, I guess you can say. In hindsight, I did have literally two people that I just knew that said I would have paid you more if you asked for more. So I'm like,
It's the
it
worst.
is. So in hindsight, I wish I started higher, but I started lower than I thought I would just because I was scared that no one would close.
Yes.
It's basically it. Like I was very scared that no one would close. And over time, I go back and forth on this, and this might be an evolution, but over time I've increased the prices. Then I'll like backtrack and be like, ah, shit, it's kind of slowed down. So I'm trying to find that middle ground. Yeah, it's tough.
Okay. So my backstory was a little bit different. I didn't have people already ready to buy. So the clients that I got that already knew me was kind of, we already talked about this. I kind of pitched an hourly rate. It was terrible. Like, that is not an offer, by the way. Do not ever do. I will do 10 hours at
Mhm.
150 bucks. Don't do that. That we are not talking
Don't
about
do the
those
hourly.
offers. We're going to talk about offers and packages that will actually like make sense for you and everybody. I actually have the 2 decks of my first couple of presentations, and even the evolution between both of those was astronomical. But I
You share your
remember,
decks in the first call, if I remember quickly, or no?
well, these are actual specific ones for companies that I
Gotcha.
created and
Okay.
shared.
Okay.
But yes, I did share the ones in the pricing call. But pricing show. That's how much with
Show. You call it
marketers.
the pricing show?
Yeah, the pricing show, the episode.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, see,
I
we
thought you were
keep calling
calling your
it
sales
calls.
calls.
Okay. So the first inbound lead I got that was for website related stuff. Because remember, when I started out, I was going fractional head of digital and website. And then I thought I was niching because I was like, okay, I'm not going to do the digital side. I'm only going to do the website side because I'm really good at that. And so the first inbound I got, I was so excited. And I still remember I was working out downstairs and I told my husband, Nash, that I have to close this. I don't know what I need to do. I need to close this lead because this basically validates my entire existence as a solo. I just like put all my insecurities on this one poor client who had no idea. It's this company, which it's been a couple years now. So I think I can mention them. I didn't do any you know, like
Okay.
I didn't do any
Budget.
NDAs or anything. I mean, it's a free plug for
Send
them.
it.
But so the company's name was Unthinkable, some software company. I don't remember what they do anymore, but this was back in the day when I was creating custom decks for every single call that I would have. And so I did, this call with Unthinkable website growth strategy. I've already at this point had two discovery calls with them because we were trying to figure out what I could do for them, which I was also trying to figure out what I could do for them. And then we go through like, hey, here are your pain points based on the conversations that we had earlier. Here's an assessment. And then going through this deck, I wrote in our episode notes, I was like, dang, I didn't even sell them. And I did so much free work. I did an audit on their tech. I did a UX audit.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I did an analytics audit. I had them give me access to their GA. I did an analytics one. The case study, I showed them the process. And then here's finally the deliverables investment. And the prices are missing here. I guess I took it off because I was sharing it with someone else, but I don't even remember what I had in here. But you can already see there's a lot going on here. I mean, I'm like, I named the packages. So I had 3 packages for those that are just listening and not watching. I did unravel, transform, and elevate. Is that not the most fucking B2B thing?
I did not do that.
I did. Look at it. It's embarrassing.
Gosh, you made this just for this call. There's no shot you did elevate.
I swear.
No shot you put transform. Oh, unravel's okay. No shot you put transform.
Transform and elevate. Me, the person who shits on buzzwords all the time, buzzworded the crap out of this. Okay. And then it was funny because I did like, here's the plan. Here's the involvement from your team. Here's the access to me. Here are the workspace. What workspace? I had a workspace in Coda that I apparently gave them access to. Here are all the deliverables. And I had to make the deliverables look very juicy and good, right? So I'm just packing it on. I'm just like making sure that I'm going to be working a full-time fucking job with this client if they bought from me. And then look at the goals. I told myself I'd give them 10 to 20% increase in conversions and 20 to 30% increase in conversions if they paid me more. What magic pill I thought I had, I have no fucking idea. But this was my initial offer. So already there are some issues here. Why work with you instead of hiring an an agency, blah, 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 like all this shit. But you can already see, one, I'm doing too much. I've already done too much. I've given them free work. And spoiler alert, I did not close this client. So they just got a bunch of free work from me and didn't give me a single dime. Okay. Then second, I'm packing on way too much in the offer. So it's probably like way overcomplicated. I'm making outlandish promises. So like, don't do that. And the funny thing is I walk the client through this thinking I fucking nailed it. The client goes, okay, so say we buy the first package and you do the cleanup. Why would we then do the cleanup again? Or like, why are we paying for more of that later? And like, he had these questions and I was like, shit. And I had to come up with the answers on the fly because I was talking about like the audit. And he goes, okay, well, the audit's only done the first 2 weeks. And then are you going to do an audit every month? Because I talk about it being a retainer. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So I'm just, after putting together this beautiful deck that I worked overnight on, there was just a lot of stuff that was missing. So anyway, they did not end up buying. That was my first offer. Terrible. They didn't say no. They just said they would think about it, and I never heard from them again. So just so you know.
I mean, I can tell you why.
Okay, tell me. Because I said transform.
Yes, 100%.
They seemed like the kind who were into the word transform.
Clearly not.
So then I was like, you know what? This was way too complicated. I need to come up with a better offer. Fast forward, my first landing page offer, I changed the names, shape, support, and share. So it's still 3 packages for those who can see.
3 S's too.
I still do. What'd you say?
The 3 S's. There's something to the 3 S's too.
Yes, the 3 S's. I gave them a little description of what each would be. So one is like, show me how. The second is collaborate, like work with me. And then the third one is help me actually do the work. And so this is where I did more of the explaining on the call versus a slide with 10,000 words on it. And I did end up selling this client, with the second package. So, these are the things that you kind of learn. But I think one of those things, and you said it too, with your backstory is you just gotta like throw some shit out there, not worry about making money at first, but throw some shit out there and just see what the reaction is, instead
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
trying to make it perfect and trying to create this like amazing, perfect offer.
Yeah. I mean, that's right.
So that was my mistake. So your mistake was
I don't even call it a mistake.
you didn't even really
I
make a mistake.
found that, well, I guess I should have priced it more, but I found that there was one package that was overwhelmingly chosen rather than the others.
Yes. So you learned we both offered 3 packages.
Yeah.
I got rejected totally with the first one. You saw that one was getting more than the other. You did realize that you were underpriced for how much brand equity and stuff you had. Your clients even told you we would have paid you more, you sucker. Right. I, meanwhile, was giving away way too much free work and I overcomplicated the offers. And so I went more simple. You went more elimination. You're like, this is my core offer and I'm upping the price.
I think the other thing I did learn was, and this has worked out very well, is less meetings. I've evolved it into less meetings over time. I think it just has been more beneficial for both parties. I think you think that everyone wants more hands-on, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes this is the case, but sometimes, yeah, sometimes the client wants to talk to you every week. But I feel like people are busy. They don't really, they're okay
No.
with less meetings.
I think I mentioned this before, which is whenever my agency would cancel the weekly meeting,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was a part of me that would be so excited. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, cool, just send me the recap at the end of the week. We don't need to meet. The meeting was almost just for me to tell my boss that I'd met with my agency. But it's like we were super involved. We had Slack and stuff. I didn't need to talk to them every freaking day and meet with them every single week. It was kind of like they were adults. I trusted them. I obviously brought them in. I knew from past experience they got my stuff covered. So that was that.
For the
Now,
most part, by the
for
way.
the most part, yes, for the most part, for the most part. Okay, so now both of us went for that 3-tier offer thing. Did you have a framework? Did you get that from me? Like, where did you find that structure from?
It might have been from you, but I think the three is just the classic sales. It's just the
SAS
classic
way.
sales SaaS. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
does the three offers, right? Because you have the lower end, the higher one that makes the middle one look the best, and that might be why it worked, right? It's just the
Okay,
psychology
wait.
behind it.
Pause. When we talked about this during the pricing episode, and I told you that that was the psychology behind it per my
Uh-huh.
coach at the time,
Different. This is
you
different.
shit on it so bad. You were like, that's fake. I don't think that's real. The
I'm not.
psychology part.
I think the psychology, because that assumes people will click on, will just choose the middle one
Oh, no,
because
no, no.
they have to buy. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just
No.
saying the optics
Yes.
of making it look good.
Okay. So, for everybody listening, do you think that that's the best structure for an offer?
I don't know
We haven't
because,
tried anything
well,
else.
I mean, I currently on my website have 3 offers, but
Mm.
it's really 2 offers and one's like a completely different audit type of thing.
Ooh,
So it's a
okay.
completely different offer. So I have 2 offers, and I think that works really well. So I don't know. I feel like everyone always does the 3 or 4 offers, and to be honest, I don't know. The only reason I do 2 offers is because it's ad spend dependent.
Yeah.
That's the only
Mhm.
difference. Or I would probably just have 1 offer.
You have the luxury though, because one, most marketers are pretty familiar with paid management and structures, just having maybe worked in agencies or with
Hmm.
agencies doing it. So I could look at it and I know, okay, it's typically a monthly management fee. It's either based on percentage of spend or it's a flat fee based on tiers of spend. Like that's
Hmm.
how I've always purchased it with agencies when I was in house. And so I feel like it's a familiar thing. So your offers may not require a lot of explanation. I think when you go
True.
into expanded, like more broad, I can help you with so many things, that's when it starts
Yeah.
getting a little more convoluted, complicated, that kind of thing. And that's where I was like, how do I set boundaries and still do that? Which I covered in the pricing episode. So I won't waste time here doing that, where I was like, only so many stakeholders, only so many deliverables. Here's a menu of what those deliverables look like. You're buying 3 or 4 or 5 from me per month. You have this many minutes of meetings, and I don't do Slack. So that was kind of how I set boundaries. But then they could pick any number of deliverables and then swap them out mid-month or whatever if they wanted to. But they knew they were getting like 4 deliverables out of me that
Well, I
month.
think that's the issue when you don't have specific deliverables,
Yes.
is because
Yes.
you're going to get a lot of sales calls that are like tire kickers because they don't understand or you
What you
didn't
can help them
explain
with.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're more specific, especially on your website about it's this many meetings, it's this deliverable, and even if it's custom, it can start at blah blah blah. But if you don't have that, you're just gonna have a bunch of tire kickers, or you're gonna have a lot more sales
Yeah.
calls, and you're not gonna learn much because everyone has this like different need. But if you make it very clear, it's gonna be more specific, better sales calls.
Okay. So I think that it would benefit everyone to go through different types of offers that we've seen in the wild. We have not obviously done all of these because we've had our 3-tier structure, whatever model, but there are a few out there that people have used, we've seen, might work. Maybe it's something you and I will try in the future. Who knows, right? And the other thing is you can have multiple offers. So what Tim and I described are kind of our core offerings. You mentioned that you have kind of a low ticket one. So let's talk
Hmm.
about the low ticket one. I remember you texting me about it and then you launched it. One, explain that low ticket one. How has it worked for you? Has it upsold into your core offer?
So the low ticket one is much lower than the other
Yes.
packages because it's just it's basically a project. It's not a retainer thing. It's a one-time audit of a LinkedIn ads account, and you get this like I have an example doc on there, and this is what it looks like. You get Loom videos, all that stuff. But that's 1,000. I might have increased it if I can't remember for some reason. I think it's 1,000, but it's one-time project, 1,000, and I have a very specific. You get it back in 5 business days. This is the docket template. Like it's very specific on the website. The funny thing is, I launched it, and then like I had probably like 4 or 5 in the first 6 months,
Okay.
and to be honest, I don't make any money off it. Like I feel like it just actually isn't that great. I think the cool thing is to be able to meet people and get like additional insights on other accounts.
Yeah.
But then there was a point at like the 6 month mark, I had like 12 come in 3 months, which was very interesting to me. It slowed down since, but I thought it was just very weird that it did that.
Mm,
And then to your question, and I guess my goal was to upsell at some point, but it's not like I'm sending you an email. You're not in like an email cadence or anything. I will literally not follow up with you at all. But I did have one upsell, and it's a current client that stayed with me since then, which was great because we did the audit, and then they were basically like, well, how much would it cost if we just kind of if you implement this and like kept going with
hmm.
us, which was awesome because I didn't have to have the extra meetings or anything that we already had
Yeah.
like that audit meeting and all that. So I've had one upsell for it, so I guess that kind of makes it the
Yeah.
best. But the other package that I added on top of like the consulting execution one was actually a lower price package that so right now it's 8,000 for that middle one a month, and that's like the consulting and execution. That's basically up to 30 or after 30K ad spend a month. The one before that is 6K, so it's lower price, and that's at under 30K spend a month. And but when I launched that, at the time it was at 5K when I launched it and 7K in the middle. But when I launched that, I ended up seeing a lot more diversification in my offers because a lot more people actually chose the 5K one or the
Hmm.
6K now. And then a number of people chose the other one because the ad spend was the deciding factor. It
Yeah.
wasn't like you're getting consulting, not
Yes.
execution. It was just more of here's the ad spend.
This is the criteria I
Yeah.
fit based on my specific instant, my company or whatever.
Now I know what you're
Interesting.
thinking, right? Why would you lower your prices if someone was saying you could have increased your prices?
Yeah.
Because in theory, I could have just put the 6K or the 7K and then just increased it another package. The reason I did that was because if someone's spending under, I found that I could decrease the amount, but also decrease the number of meetings and things I needed to do.
Mm.
So with that package, you actually get only one meeting a month, and there's only like a kickoff call essentially. And so I actually, in some clients, there's no meetings a month. It's just async all day, every day, right?
Do you charge cheaper for them or no?
No,
Okay.
no. It's just depending on preference and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I say that because some are like, I need a meeting. Like, I just need to talk to you. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I found that I could decrease my time in the account because I had left meetings, because I just hate meetings so much that I would lose money. I'd rather lose money than have meetings. And then I actually just had faster close rates because of that. And it just basically it opened it up for people that didn't have the budget to spend 8K or 7K, but they could afford 5K or 6K.
Okay. Okay. So that's kind of an example of an intro or lead-in offer. I also have never seen you promote it. So you did get
Never
60.
promoted
You
anything.
probably would have gotten more had you just put it out there. But that's an example of a low ticket offer. When I first started, I just did like, I'll do a landing page audit for 500. I only had like a few people take me up on it. But again, I never promoted it. And then I killed that offer and I just went into the core offer, which is the 3 stages, landing page related, whatever, whatever. But then I now am thinking about reintroducing the landing page audit offer for a price, but actually promoting it this time to give it the amount of success that it needs. Because what I've realized is the minute I can get someone on the phone during a discovery call and show them the process, I have like 80 to 90% close rate. But it's just me showing the process. But I'm not doing a good job of showing that process beforehand because the wow factor happens later. So they come to my website, they see the pricing, they're like, wow, this is a lot, but I'm not doing a good job of showing them how in depth and amazing the process actually is and how much time and effort I've put into it because of that. So now the way I've structured my offer, it used to be 3 tiers, but if you go to my website, I actually vibe coded a pricing calculator. My husband did it. I vibe coded a pricing calculator and I charge by number of products and number of segments because that's just how it kind of worked out to be. I have this perspective that, especially for paid landing pages, you can reuse a lot of components. And so it didn't feel fair for me to charge by wireframe. So if you go to my website in the bottom here, I do it by product, target, and audience. So if you have multiple products, say your Calendly for marketers, customer service, and sales, that would be 3 audience types, but the product is 1. That's going to be your monthly cost. I have a sprint and then they can see how many wireframes they get. And then, so here's some deliverables. So obviously there's been a lot of evolution and I'm still thinking about changing this even now. So the key is it's kind of a living thing. It will change over time. You will think of ideas and test it. So much like many marketing experiments, there it is. I want to talk about some other ones here that we've seen in the wild. So have you seen this one? Oh, you've got your hand up. What?
Can you go back to your calculator?
Okay, go back to my calculator. Yeah.
Just give you some feedback.
Oh God, here we go. Live feedback. Let's do
Something
it.
that's confusing. So if you're
Yes.
looking at it, you have the one product targeting one audience, has the deliverables, and then it has the price, $5.99.
Yeah. Yeah.
$5.997 a month.
Yeah.
And when you do the calculator, if you change the audiences, it says your monthly cost under is $7.997.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of wish the thing on
This
the
would
left
change
side
too.
would also change, because now I'm seeing 2 different numbers and that's confusing me.
Okay. Okay. See, this is good feedback. And I will let my designer know if she can do both. I'm sure she can. So she can just have this reflect over here, but then this needs to change.
That would change. So that one part would change too, but
Just
assume there's just like some variables
Fine.
that change there.
Fine. Okay. And another thing is to give an example. So one question I get a lot during my calls is like, well, what's classified as a product? And sometimes they'll say, well, so we have this product.
Yeah.
And then they'll list like 3 use cases. I'm like, no, those are not considered separate products. That's 3 use cases of your product. So there's a lot of definition issues in product marketing. And that comes into play when I'm talking to heads of demand gen, heads of marketing, whatever. Okay. So I think an example would be an important one here. Here's one. Have you seen this one floating around when Fletch redid theirs and they posted this and then they dared a bunch of solos and agencies to follow this same format? I have opinions on this format. So for those who are just listening and not watching, which you really should be watching, I'm sharing Fletch PMM's website. And If you don't know them, they fix your positioning and it's reflected on the homepage. So they do homepage messaging and positioning work. They started with early stage startups and now it's starting to expand to growth stage and mature companies started coming to them. And so they do this thing where the pricing is literally right under the hero. So there's
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing with the deliverables, what they get, 2 weeks of async workshops, live and async work with the team, internal positioning doc, homepage wireframe with production ready copy, access to best practices Notion database, and then it has three prices. Early stage is 10 grand, growth stage is 20, mature companies are 30K.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this is like for me as a website person, I rely heavily on like behavioral science and how people read websites and things like that. So from a behavioral standpoint and a UX standpoint, I don't think this reads really well. However, from a buyer's position, they're reading, here, what it is, homepage positioning sprint, here's what I get, here's how much it costs. It does look a little bit busy otherwise. But there are so many agencies that kind of follow this model and they're saying that it works very well. So this is, I guess, another way that you could do an offer instead of like 3 tiers. You could do it like how Tim does it, which is priced based on how much they're spending. It could be priced based on what stage of growth that they're in. I do it by product, number of products and audiences. It could be different in the future because I'm still noodling on what that looks like and maybe a lead in and intro offer. There's also people are going to roll their eyes, but if you, Alex Hermosi, say what you want about him, but his books and stuff are actually really good. So there are some nuggets of good stuff. When I first started, he kind of talks about this, which is think about it from your buyer standpoint. What is their dream outcome, right? And then what is their perceived likelihood of achievement? Can you help them achieve that? How quickly can you do it? And how much effort and sacrifice does it take on both of your parts? That's the value that you come up with. So this is how I kind of came up with my offer, which was their dream outcome is to have better landing pages. Hopefully they convert a lot better. What's the time delay? I was like, okay, they could sit there, try to do it themselves, which they don't have time for. So they either never do it or they, shortcut it and do homepage. I used to deliver this to them in 6 weeks. Now I can do it in 2. So like you can get nice landing pages in 2 weeks. And the effort and sacrifice, I took a lot off their plate. I'm like, we're not doing meetings. We're not doing like, we don't have to sit and
Mm-hmm.
do all of the stuff. We will give you not just the strategy, but you'll have wireframes with copy that you can just send to the dev team and create. So as little involvement as possible. And that's kind of the value. And that's why my process does a good job of selling, but I just am not doing a good job of selling the process. And then he talks about this delivery cube, which is this chart. So for people just listening, just look up value equation, Alex Hermosi, and delivery cube, Alex Hermosi. And the delivery cube is basically going to help you create this offer. So first of all, are you selling one-to-one? Are you selling one to few? Or are you selling one to many? So in this case, you could say, okay, I'm a consultant. I'm probably going to be selling one-on-one. And then it says, okay, cool. Now, if you're doing one-on-one, are you doing a DIY, like you're teaching them how to do it? Are you doing a done with you, like we'll do it together? Or are you doing a done for you? And then you go into support. How much access do they have to you during this entire time? And what type of support? So can they text you, Slack, email, call, video chat, whatever that is? And what's the cadence of support that they get? The consumption area is like, what is the method of delivery? So is it like, are you doing it live? Is it recorded? Is it a PDF? Is it like, ads management? Whatever that is, the consumption of like the actual deliverable. And then the speed and convenience. So is it time box? Like I only have a call with you once a month, but you have async access to me. How quickly can I give the landing pages over to you? How quickly what's the cadence of giving reporting to you on the ad accounts? Whatever that is. And then the final one is, okay, you have all of these things for 6 grand. How can I do this exercise of like, if I had all the money in the world, how would I increase the value of this offer tenfold? So that's kind of the test, right? So like then there's the other one, which is like 1/10 of the value or something like that. But basically, how can I 10x the value if I had all the money in the world and it didn't cost me anything extra? And then see where you can actually make it better and just pack it on with value. And then he does do the one thing, which is offering guarantees. And he says that the percentage and math of people who actually come back and ask for refunds and stuff is so low. But you will sell a ton of people, but the likelihood of them actually asking for a refund is very low. It's like 5% or something like that, which is still worth the amount of people that you would sell.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. I mean, if I thought about like creating a LinkedIn ads course at one point and I was gonna like charge
Mm-hmm.
for it, but say like, here's a button.
Yeah.
If you click that button, I will refund you. I don't care. I'm not gonna, you don't have to prove anything. Like I'll refund you. Just to
Yeah.
get people to actually like like commit to
Put the money
actually,
down. Yeah.
well, commit to
Yeah.
the course, right? I feel like I've done this. You get a course and because it's free, you don't freaking do anything because there's no money behind it.
Yeah.
I struggle with doing that for
Our
things,
stuff.
yeah, because a lot
Yes.
of it is not correlated to us at all.
Yeah.
Like I can give out the best ads, the best offer ever, but if your sales team does not update the CRM and does not follow up, or like just there's so much out of control that we don't have, and that's what
Yeah.
I struggle with. And I don't even want to make those claims because I don't know. They're just I've never seen it work out well.
Yeah. So I think that when Alex is talking about this offer, he's obviously talking about it from more of a B2C sense
Yeah,
because he started, what was the something about gyms. So
yeah,
his
sold
whole
gyms.
yeah, he sold gyms and memberships to gyms. So his thing was like, you will lose 30 pounds and if you don't, I'll refund your money. That is like a hardcore metric,
That's
right?
crazy.
It's
That's you
something
know how
like
hard
that.
that is.
I know. So like something like that. So he's basically saying, like, tell them, obviously the accountability is on them to do it.
Yeah,
But say somebody lost 20 pounds and not 30, they're
yeah.
still happy that they lost weight. They know that maybe they weren't perfect in, like eating and doing whatever. So the likelihood of them coming in, like the hassle of trying to, show face and like try to get a refund and cause issues and stuff, there's a very specific kind of person who would do that. So he's saying you can take that risk. Now, I did follow the delivery cube, but I did not offer a guarantee because I can't. Like you said, like, I can't,
There's
I'm
so many
not going to
things.
apparently I thought I could promise 20 to 30% increase in conversions, but quickly came to my senses with that. But that is something where, again, you can do various types of offers and just try it. Maybe like for an audit, I feel like you could do a guarantee for an audit. Like if you did an audit, you're not happy with the audit, you can ask for the money back. And it's a low ticket item.
Yeah, I
Like
mean
for
that's a
us,
good point. I
yeah,
think
for
that's
us
a
to
great point.
refund 500,
Shit,
$1,000, like fine,
I'm
whatever.
fucking trying that. I'm trying to
Should
try it.
we should we both do it?
I'm gonna
Let's
try
go.
it, and I'm also gonna promote. I'm so bad at
I
promotions.
know, me too, me too, me too,
I
me too.
hate promoting
Okay.
things.
Okay, say Tim and Task to promote audit. Okay.
I'll definitely do
With
the refund thing, but I don't know if I'll promote it. I'm so bad at promoting. I literally have no call to actions ever in anything.
with guarantee. We're gonna do it.
No call to actions ever.
Yeah, I
I never
ever?
pitch. None of
I
my
mean, I
content,
hardly
nothing
ever.
I'd ever do. I've never sent out a cold email. I never pitch. You should see me at
Okay.
events. I'm brutal.
Okay, so before we keep going, so we talked about, different types of offers, our first offers, why they failed, evolution, where our offers are right now. And the last thing and then we talked about the different kinds of offers that you could set up, even ones that Tim and I have not tried, but will want to try. So, say you have your offer kind of set up. The biggest thing is don't focus on it being perfect. You need to just go out and get people. And I just had a conversation today with actually more of a SaaS company than consulting, but I would say this similarly for someone starting consulting, which is when you're starting out and you have an offer, the first thing to do is to go and like get people to try it out, because the thing that's going to help you sell in the future is like reinforcing with people who have already worked with you, who've had a good experience. And so in the first deck that I had, all those testimonials, those were people I'd worked with in-house. And so I
Mm,
had those people give me testimonials, and that's what I used at first because I had never worked with a client before. I wasn't going to show them. I mean, I wasn't going to make something up. So I went to people I'd worked with, former bosses, former coworkers, peers, other people in other departments, and asked them to give me testimonials, which they gladly did. And I put that in my sales deck. So that's one way that you can like add it, sell to get some good first test clients too. You're going to have to do some like reaching out. Obviously, you can post about it, but then if you're like, I don't know if I want to just throw this offer out into the world, you can just send it to a select few people. Be like, hey, I'm just starting out. I have this like intro offer thing that I'm testing out because I know you or whatever. Here's like, I'm going to give it to you at a discounted rate, or let me do it for you for free as long as I can talk about it. And then that's kind of your first proof point. If you don't have the brand equity of, Tim Davidson.
Well, I do. I'm a big believer in if you haven't been building your personal brand, if you can't figure out how to get clients, I'm a big believer in the free thing. I think it
Yeah.
helps, especially if you're like, and I did this early on. I tried to do like Facebook ads freelancing, and I would do it for free for like, I think I actually put my credit card as ad spend for some clients. It's stupid.
What?
I would do it for free just to get my foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
That was the offer. I
Yeah.
would run it for free. Obviously, it'd be your money on the ad spend, but even though I did it wrong, but that's a good offer if you can't find clients, because you're gonna get testimonials, you're gonna get goodwill, you're gonna learn,
Yeah.
and you can. I don't know what the gray area is here, but if like you do it for free for a company, be like, hey, I'm running ads for blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You are, so like you can use that as like your sales pitch too. Like that stuff matters.
Yes. So don't be afraid to do the first few for free and then make them agree to you being able to talk about it, include it in your pitch decks. If you're writing content, to put it in there. If you're doing ads, to put it in there. If you're doing outreach, to put it in there. That's the cost of you doing this free work as an expert, right? Just starting out, you're still an expert. You're coming from in-house, whatever. But in order to get the first few clients, don't be afraid to just go out there and run some pitches and check the offers. Or even something that, didn't you talk about this last time, where you're like, hey, can we just have a chat? I just want to run this by you. I just need some feedback. And sometimes it is just showing the offer and be like, okay, you are kind of the kind of person that I would go after. When you see this offer, give me candid feedback. What needs to change? What do you have questions about? That kind of thing.
I think that's an avenue. I also want to add a caveat there, because there's a difference between people saying, "Oh yeah, I like that," and like paying you. Because if you ask enough people, especially front like colleagues, they don't want to be mean.
Yes.
Shoot, ask me. I won't be mean, but I'll give you real feedback.
Yeah.
But that's not the case for everyone. Like a lot of people
Yes.
want to be nice and oh yeah, this looks great, and they don't really get to play around with it. They don't understand the use case because everyone's CRM is different and everything that connects to it. So I think it is valuable. You'll get insights there, but there is a big difference between someone actually paying and not on an offer. Like I could have probably asked people, "Oh, would you pay 4K for the consulting and execution?" And people would have probably said yes, but in the wild, got nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Agreed. So maybe the caveat is, give me honest stuff. You won't hurt my feelings, or position it as if it's not yours. So that's how I got honest
Oh,
feedback.
that's a great idea.
I got honest feedback on a friend's offer, because when I asked people, at first they would be nice. And I'm like, by the way, this isn't mine. I'm just asking for a friend. And then they would lay in.
Yeah, see, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. So just be like, no, it's not mine. It's just something that I'm showing, or like asking for a friend. Okay.
I don't like the spacing, but I'm in it. 100% money
Oh, it's
back
already on
guarantee
there.
on the website. We in it. Not messing around.
Wow.
I don't like the I gotta fix this a little bit, but it's on
Yeah.
there. If someone
Yeah.
sees it in the next minute, it's there.
Wow.
Not
Amazing.
messing around.
Amazing.
I hope people ask for a refund. Don't.
What?
Don't do that.
No, don't have some of that.
No
Okay.
shot anyone would. You know how awkward that is? Like think about
That's
that.
what I'm
It's just so
saying. That's what I'm
crazy. It's
saying.
so
It is,
crazy.
you have to be a specific kind of person. You're the kind of person who sends food back at a restaurant. Okay. And that's not many people. So that's why even Alex Hermosi is like, very few people are going to do that. And if they do it, let them, but you're still going to make out, like your profit's still going to be higher than your losses in that situation.
Okay, that's a great analogy, because the amount of times I've gotten meat cooked the wrong way,
And
I
never send it back.
refuse. I will not send it back. I will not talk to anyone. If I got the wrong side, I will not say anything. No
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can give me a complete wrong meal. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll eat it. That's fine. I'm allergic, but it's okay.
Like, I'll die, but it's fine.
It's okay.
Okay. So just a small thing. The final thing is just troubleshooting the offers. So most times I will hear people say, oh, okay, like I completely killed an offer. So you can kill an offer like Tim when
Mhm.
people aren't picking it at all. But if people are asking questions, sometimes that part of the offer needs resolved. So sometimes
Mhm.
people will straight up tell you, like, I don't know, the budget, whatever. Sometimes they won't say anything unless you ask them. So, one thing that I've made a practice of in my sales calls is after I run them through pricing, I'll say, how does pricing feel for you? Is that comfortable? So, I'll ask them how they feel about the pricing specifically, and they'll say, "Oh, well, the pricing is fine, but I did have a question about this." And so then it
Mm.
kind of uncovers either pricing as the objection, or it uncovers that pricing's not the objection. And they're like, "Oh, we have a website redesign coming up in 2 weeks. Like, do you suggest doing it after or before?" So you can actually uncover what the issue is and what part of it. So for me, over time, it was just me doing the work. One of my clients was like, dude, I cannot wait 6 weeks for you to write every word on this landing page. Okay. So I got contractors to help deliver the work. So I knew that part of the offer. And then I changed that where I'm like, you get a dedicated writer. We'll give it to you in 2 weeks, whatever. And then I had clients who were like, wait, you're not going to help us with the testing? That's when I added the last 30 days, which is we'll stay with you through 2 testing cycles. And then, so it's just like the offer evolves based on small things that I would hear in the conversation. Also, I would ask them, like, does the pricing make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. But now I'm getting a lot of questions of, well, what do you mean by a product or an audience? Like, what do you mean? And so then I'll give them an example like Calendly because it's really simple, and then they'll ask me about their product mixes. So I'm like, well, how could I make that easier on the website? How could I make that easier to communicate? So there are those things as well that you test based on specific things that they might pinpoint or ask you questions about. And you're like, can I make this simpler? Because if the path to understanding is fast, then you have a faster way to get to a yes or a no, right? But if they're having a lot of questions or they're leaving confused, that's not a good sign, because in their brain subconsciously it signals for them, well, is the engagement going to be confusing? Is this too much? That kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, the question, the asking is so important because it's similar, just what we are talking about the restaurant. Like, if they ask, "Oh, is this right?" Then I might say something.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if they just do it, they put it down, they leave, like they don't ask anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
But
But
like
ask,
the specificity of the question is important.
yeah,
If I ran them through and I'm like, how does it sound? Oh, it all sounds great.
yeah. No matter what, they're
That's
gonna
how
say
that's
that.
how they would do it. At least in the US with services or, like wait staff, they'll come by and be like, everything good for ya? That's
Yep,
how they ask you, right? And you're like, yep, everything's great. But if she came by and she said, sir, is that meat cooked correctly? And then you're like, actually, it's a little bit over than what I would like, but I didn't want to say anything. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that for you. Makes you feel better, makes them feel better,
yep,
that kind of thing. So you got to be specific. You know what I mean? That kind of
yeah.
uncovers the problems. Okay. TLDR on offers.
Okay. TLDR on offers. One, get something out there. Find examples, put something together. It's going to be one of the most important things you put out there. So getting feedback and then iterating is going to be very important. It's also going to be a living part of your business. So just because you put an offer out there doesn't mean you're stuck with it forever. You're not married to it. It can change and it will change. Three, you can always bring back offers. An example is an audits. Just because it didn't work at one point, it can work in the future with some changes, some market changes, with you changes. Things change over time. So it can work in the future.
Okay. And then there are different types of offers. So even though Tim and I went with the 3-tier SaaS because we're so B2B, there are other ways that you could do it. Alex Hermosi, most notable for his Grand Slam offers framework. You can look that up. But the other ones are intro offers, free offers, guarantee offers, along with your core offers. You can also upsell into yours, whatever you need to do. So, and you can have multiple offers for your business at the same time. I used to do this thing called the McDonald's secret menu. So I would have public offers and private offers. And so that is also something that you can do, but it's also important not to overdo the offers. I knew someone who had like 12 offers at one point. I'm like, this is way too
Oh,
much. Yeah, way too much. And then finally, troubleshoot, don't kill. So it's very easy to have a difficult conversation or difficult sales call and then say, well, shit, that didn't work. So I'm done with it. I'm never picking up this offer again. We're going to kill it. I would say ask specific questions so you can troubleshoot what part of the offer is causing issues. So when you ask specific questions like, hey, is the pricing comfortable for you? And then they say, well, the pricing's fine, but actually I'm kind of worried about the timeline. Those are things that can indicate whether it's speed that's the issue, whether pricing's the issue, whether the deliverable itself is the issue. Maybe they don't have the internal resources to implement, and then you can troubleshoot that engagement or that offer. If you start hearing patterns, then that's where you start changing that specific part of the offer as well. But yeah, that's our quick TLDR on offers. Listen to the whole episode and you'll get in the weeds just like we did.
That's right. Retention rate.
Retention rate. Going solo isn't always easy. There are client wins, red flags, and moments where you feel on top of the world, and moments where you question everything. But for us, it's been worth it.
We're not selling you a dream. We're sharing real stories, real numbers, and the mindset shifts it takes to build your own thing, whatever that looks like for you. Subscribe to The Marketer's Exit and send it to a friend who's this close to making a move.